Hello, everybody. This is James Diboe, dedicated to original peoples, and we got a special guest on. He's been on before many times. One of my favorite guests. We always have our deep conversation, discussions. Meeting of the minds. Welcome back to the show, Ras Congo. How you doing, my brother?
Boy, big greetings, James. I really love the way you just reach out always and you keep on trying, even when there's difficulty in the communication, busy or distracted, you know how it run in the
Yeah,
modern era. But we
yeah,
give thanks to be on original people. Because
yes,
we
man.
are the people, we are the original, and the rest of them are Gina. So we have to get down to business and
That's it, man.
reason one more time.
Well, the mission don't stop, man. You know what I mean? Because if it stopped, then it all falls apart. You know what I'm saying? So
Absolutely.
I'm with the mission anyway, but we always have deep discussions. We can open our mind up and think out the box. We think out the box,
Hmm.
people. We don't get stuck in no box. So today I want to speak on a few different things. Let's start off with like advanced technology, like the ancient Egyptians. You could even look at the Olmecs in Mexico. You could wherever we are in the world, these advanced civilizations, as how we've declined to this day. Now, do you see it as like, say, because I know you've been to Kemet, so like,
Hmm.
you've probably like seen many things out there last October, and there's stuff there that make you think, well, how did they even build these pyramids? Like, and people can't do it to this day. You know what I'm
Absolutely.
saying?
Absolutely. The only way you could build those pyramids, right, is to have the most acute mathematical equations, brother, right? And
Mm,
have systems where you're at one with the cosmological order. This goes into your consciousness and your subconsciousness. We're going to talk about that later.
yeah.
We're just going to hold that there and just stick it over there, yeah? But
Mm,
like it can't be done today. It cannot be done today. And the feat was majestic. And many of these ancient buildings right across the world, even, there's like that carved rock in Petra, Jordan, it's like a cathedral carved in the rock. You have Lalibela, even though it's later, it's still quite an achievement, the carved churches out of one stone in Ethiopia.
mm.
You even have places in South Africa, brother, a place, it was called Adam's Calendar that
Yeah, yeah,
predated to something like 10, they said 10,000 BC by original peoples, yeah? But it
yeah,
was desecrated to make way for the motorway system in South Africa. Yeah,
yeah.
lots of
Interesting,
them
man.
culture there. But
Yeah, Adam's
they only
calendar.
tell us about ISIS mashing up this and that when they
Mm,
say ISIS going and mash up the Hindu temple. But this type of nonsense is something employed from way back when, and we've got to make sure people like me and you to make sure we make a communication to the youth coming up. It's not all about money and what glitters at your soul and staying alive. You know what I
mm.
mean?
Yeah. Well, you know what, right? Because just when, I read a lot, both of this, you know what I'm saying? So you're basic Egyptologist and you listen to what they've got to say. And yeah, what I did like about what some of them say, they don't say slaves built them. Now, I'm happy with
Yeah,
that. But
absolutely.
here's the thing now, even some of our own people, our own scholars of our own from African descent, some of
Mhm.
them get caught up into basic Egyptology, for example. They will never believe that that there was some sort of advanced, whether it's advanced technology, whether it's advanced with the pineal gland, you know, basically the dealing with the subconscious, dealing with our connection to, if you want to call it other worlds or other realms, I'd say realms. That's a better way of putting it, the realms. And even time travel could be involved in this. There's many different things that could have led to people having this kind of knowledge to be able to do this.
Absolutely, because my brother, when you talk about time travel, time in itself, and space, what we know as time and space, are constructs. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's a reality beyond the human perception of time and the
Mm.
human perception of space. And like you say, I'm tuned into several. I know what I'm talking about. Some
Yeah.
people are trapped in one frequency, but we no freak. But you are go see. You
Yeah.
understand?
That's
Yeah,
it. The
man.
frequencies, yeah, definitely high
I'm telling
dimensions
you,
out
brother,
there.
the vibrations, because when I was a kid going to school, right? And I remember they used to teach us about ancient just not really go into depth, but they'll talk about the Egypt. The only thing they'll talk about Africa was about Egypt, and they portrayed it like Yul Brenner and Elizabeth Taylor, and you know what I mean. It was like whitewash, brother. And they said that the pyramids was the built out of like the massive big stones, which are over 2 tons, right? Accomplished with only the use of ropes, copper
Yeah.
tools, sled, levers, and inclined planes. That's impossible. That's some bullshit right there. As far as I am concerned, people will say, "Where's your evidence?" Right? I mean, the evidence is in the construction of the monument, which is the pyramid, and pyramid in Greek means like center of fire. Pyra is fire, mid center, So basically, these were like power stations, bro. But they tell us that some little people did that and they want to just be put in there. No, this was on a different level. This could have, we're dealing with electromagnetic, different types of, you know what I mean? Energies harnessed. And if they could do that, they would know about anti-gravitational. You know what I mean? The ability to move objects by suspending gravity or reversing
Interesting.
gravity. Most definitely. Can't be
Yeah.
done, brother.
Well, funny enough,
It
you
can't be
mentioned
done
about,
today. And these people are saying it was done in the most crude manner.
yeah.
You know
That's
what I mean?
interesting you mentioned about the objects moving, especially like with certain energies, like, some of these ancient monks, they knew how to move like large objects through some sort of frequency, some sort of energy,
Yes,
connect them to
yes.
something of the unseen, But when we say unseen, we're just seeing everything in three-dimensional, So, you know what I'm
That,
saying, bro?
that's what they teach us, you see. You see this
They keep us in that three-dimensional
this
space.
three-dimensional trap and the
Yeah,
five sense reality
yeah,
trap. So they feed us that, right? And they try to keep us in that. And anybody who thinks outside the box is questioned, ridiculed, or castigated. But I don't care. I love all that.
yeah,
I love it when people vex to see my face because them can't get me out the race. You know what I mean? So we
yeah,
have to look at the reality. They say, where's your evidence? The evidence is the monument itself.
yeah.
That's
That's
the
it.
evidence. And there's no two ways about it, right? Then you look at like many scholars who the original so-called Egyptologists had racist agendas, and they had a religious agenda too, to discredit everything. That's why when you go to Egypt and you see how many of the original artifacts have been vandalized, and it's
Yeah,
mostly always the facial features. The reality is, if you go there and you see, man, I don't really have a broad nose and ting. It's not conventional that way, but many different features of Nubians right across was featured in Egypt. So they just
yeah,
mash up the face, bro. Because you don't want
yeah,
to show us. So I just lie after lie. You know what I
yeah.
mean? So
Totally.
the Egyptians had a high culture, right? The people in Mesopotamia had a high culture. The people in Harappan and other so-called now modern Indian places had a high culture. This high culture went right across. The human, right, is a battery source, brother. The body is a conduit, and the soul or the spirit is the life force. You understand? And
Yeah,
that can be used, right? That can be used in many ways. There's ions in the body, as minute traces as they may be. If you can manipulate gravity and, you know what I mean, demagnetize and all these type of things, all possibilities, right, are possible. And when you look at the ancient world, you know, that it seems like it was impossible with what they have taught us. But what we have discovered for ourselves, we say, yeah, it is possible. Why wouldn't it be possible if they're building like temples and putting bas reliefs of what we would see today as submarines and helicopters and all these things,
Yeah.
right? And we know, say, you know what I mean? Even sea peoples, people that come from the seas, that goes along with the myth of many Nigerian deities and African traditions from days of yore.
Yeah,
You
well,
know what I mean?
funny enough, you mentioned that. Like, I mean, Egypt's got the documents, but at the same time, oral history is very important too, because
Yeah,
before anything became
absolutely.
documented history, there was oral history. So funny you
Absolutely.
mentioned about Nigeria. Now,
Yeah.
my own tribe itself, we live near the water, the Ijaw tribe. So we have a lot of things like water spirits and
Yes.
a lot of deep mermaids, and it's very vast, what I'm saying? Even how they speak on how the planet began, like,
Yes.
the stories of people coming from the sky, people coming from, whether they're from the water, the sky, other
And that's
dimensions.
interesting. Yeah, that's interesting, my brother, because like um the universe is just one, or universe means one verse, right? But there
Yeah.
could even be many more verses intermingled, like a spider's web, right?
Mhm.
Um, but right now we're here in the here and now. But even what we say is now, what is now? Because if time and space is, they say it's curved, it's circular, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? And what goes around must come around, you know what I mean? We have an understanding of what time and space is, but when you think outside of the box at the right time, you're dealing with a different scope on reality, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah,
But a lot of
you know what I mean?
these
And
indigenous peoples and all that, if I look and think like what's compatible, 'cause I always look at what's similar between different peoples and that. Now, it's clear that, like you could say, the laws of opposites, you could say yin and
Mhm.
yang, but at the same time, most of these people, these ancient peoples, will always speak on it was good and evil. And
Always.
it's no matter how much you like it. So in religion, they could say, for example, there was God, and then God created the devil, and then the devil went against them, and you know, but this world has always been good and evil, and I don't even know what the timeline. I don't think anyone knows how long exactly have we been on this planet. Yes, they throw us off with the man coming from the apes, and then we were in the
Mm.
water. Now, I think that makes a blockage, you see, because when there's the blockage, and then even before that, you got the Big Bang, and then how when the universe is first created, then Earth comes later, then all these dinosaurs, and then this, that. So we're very late, aren't we? And then our civilization only happens to be only 5,000 years
Um,
ago,
I,
you know?
I I think according to the recorders, right? But like for example, um, when it comes to prehistory, right?
Yeah,
Um, you know, the opportunities to push certain doctrines become very far and wide, and the people with the most money or resources in most of these things can push their agendas. Why? Because they have the money, they have the resources, they have the connections, right? So when it comes to so-called prehistory, we're being given a version of history,
yeah,
his story, right? I mean, even the most recent history where they say 1492, Columbus discovered America. You can't discover somewhere where people is there with
yeah,
culture and you have other people from around the world there too, because people have always traveled,
yeah,
right? Yeah, so there's definitely, misrepresentation, miseducation, and
mm,
the battle is to make sure that we try to do as much research as possible and check our own facts, because we can't be stubborn. It's not a problem if one quotes something and it may be wrong. It's not a battle of the egos or the battle of the Negroes. It's
yeah,
who cares wins. It's none of that. It's
yeah,
about just getting information out there to make people think about situations maybe a bit differently and reflect. You know what I
yeah,
mean? So like even the laws of Mahat aren't exclusively from Kemet. Now remember, we say Egypt, that's the Greek name as we know.
Yeah.
Kemet, Kemet or Kemet was the name in the original, you know what I mean?
Blacklands.
And like it was all connected to do with the star system, the true concept of heaven on earth. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? The constellation of many different stars and the arrangements of temples in line with these constellations through certain years of the procession of the equinoxes. You know what I mean? This ain't no Uri come up. This is like people with an advanced understanding, not only of Earth, but also of beyond Earth. Yeah. And that's a fact.
Yeah.
Same in many of the ancient cultures, brother. And like you mentioned, the sea people, there's always that tradition of sea people or a great cosmic event with sea or you know what I mean, the floods.
Yeah, the
So
water.
it's gotta have come from somewhere. It can't be
Yeah.
all you know what I mean? It's
Well, you
come
know
from a
what?
common root.
But when you look at this planet and you look how much water there is now, you can go back into time and, like, going back to creation story, all the history, the Pacific Islands, you've heard of Lemuria, they considered,
Yes,
or some people called it New Zealander, for example,
yes.
and there was definitely a
Well,
large
Mu,
landmass.
part of it was known as Mu.
Yeah, Mu for short, Lemuria, yeah. And then the Indian Ocean,
Yeah, yeah.
Renoka Rashid even touched on this. He was speaking about the Sri Lankans having this oral history, and it was called Kumaranado or something like that, where it connected Africa, Australia, and India all together. And then, you had Atlantis, Then we had when the Sahara Desert, where that weren't even a desert, big lakes, rivers, vegetation, and a
That's right.
civilization going on there, So it's interesting. So when you go back to oral history, then do something that you spoke on a while ago, me and you were on the podcast. Well, first of all, I remember speaking about the timeline of humanity, and they say, like, the scientists
Yes.
basically say that Pangaea, there was no people on this planet during the time of Pangaea. So when all the continents are all one, but that's in our history that doesn't even add up, But through Western science, there was nobody here. The continents had to break up. It would have been easier for people to move around the planet while the continents were together, to reach Australia, to reach different
You
places.
know, we know I'm not a geologist as such, right? I
Yeah,
like to read different things like yourself, right? So I've not really studied it on a academic level, you know what I mean? But I've studied it as a layman. They say layman, but me not a laywood man. But them say layman, so
yeah,
me have to review them terminology.
yeah,
So like for the way I'm looking at the thing now is like you just have to have as much of a vision as you can, brother, and try to learn and try to spread. You know what I mean? Share, not spread, because we're not a cult, but we just share in the little pockets over here and over there. Because, as I say, man, we have to learn to represent ourselves. And when it comes to like the whole event of life on Earth, I know I'm aware of their theories, but they're not more than theories. They're not
yeah, yeah,
facts,
yeah.
the theories, and then you have like the religious view of creation and things like that. You know what I mean?
Look at the
The
Dogon, for
whole
example. The Dogon,
well, right across, bro, right across.
yeah,
It's the originals, But I'm just saying that like it's people have to think for themselves because you say Dogon and you know about the Dogon because you've got yourself out there, and I salute you for that. And that
mm,
means that you're going beyond the textbook. It's good to
yeah,
start with some textbook. It's good to just build up your knowledge and have an interest in that. Otherwise,
yeah.
the media will just have your mind and attention span going elsewhere. You know what I mean?
That's right,
Most
man.
definitely. I mean, there's many sunken cities around the world, brother.
Yeah.
Most recently, Port Royal in Jamaica. That used to be the capital before Kingston. You know what I mean? You reach
Mm.
it on the edge of it when you go into Norman Manley Airport, right? On the edge of Kingston. A big section just caved in. You have like parts of I think there's a part of Heliopolis in northern Egypt, you know what I mean? And
Mm,
even like parts on the coast of India, you know what I mean? Because there's a guy called Charles Hapgood he was an oceanographer and a geologist and everything. And read a couple of his books, but we don't put everything in the writing of someone else. But it's opened my eyes, and you have a it's not unusual for certain cities or towns on the coastal areas to become underwater. We even see that in Britain right here. Like I think isn't the East Coast under some heavy erosion? So where there
yeah,
was like you have like a house here 15 years ago, and the thing there, the cliff, and now the cliff's there. So these things is just a reality, you know what I mean?
yeah. Well, you want to mess with
Like
nature,
things
don't you?
wear out.
Also,
Yeah,
that's one thing that you can't defeat nature, and this is what
you can't,
even
brother.
like even
So
when it comes to hunting,
the
they'll
ancients,
hunt for sport.
absolutely, bro,
I
absolutely.
mean,
But like I want to say about like so when you're looking at Kemet or Kemet, and there are people there are looking at the stars and bringing heaven down to earth. That means you're dealing with high science. You know what I mean? High
yeah,
technology. No, you're not dealing with magic. You know what I mean? As what
sacred
magic
science
is
and
being
stuff.
told. You're
Yeah,
dealing with electromagnetic, you're not dealing with magic, it's magnetic.
yeah,
You understand? So, like what when I look on that, these people like map out everything on the stars, it was written
yeah.
in the stars before it manifested in air.
Mm,
And when you have a shooting star, what did they call it? They call it a comet. A comet. You know what I mean? A comet
mm,
and comet.
yeah.
You know what I'm saying, bro? More than just a link, bro.
The word
Original star
chemistry,
people.
even chemistry.
Exactly,
Yeah.
chemist mystery, and you
Mm,
see, even the Dogon is the same people.
yeah.
You know what I mean? With those same traditions that the Dogon have is coming from, not necessarily coming from Egypt, because a lot of people migrated to the Nile Valley.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying, bro?
Yeah.
It goes like you say, the oral tradition, which is a good time to talk about, because if you're at one with nature, and if your ego is not to say we discover what, you just observed nature and you shared your observation with nature. You didn't have to write it down or own it or co-own it. You know what I mean? That's a whole
Yeah.
different, you're dealing with a different people at a different stage of their
Yeah.
dwelling on earth. You know what I mean?
Well, before
You're
Kemet,
dealing on a
like
different
there's
level.
there's many other parts of Africa that's it's because of the documentation. And yes, Egypt was it with the peak. It was like it
Mhm.
peaked at that particular time. And
Mhm.
there's many other things. The walls of Benin, and you got
The Great
like
Walls of Benin that the British plundered in
yeah, even the
1890,
Igbo
brother.
pyramids. So there's many other things
Yeah,
in Africa, and you don't know
right
what
across.
survived. Some things ain't survived.
Absolutely. There's been a lot of disfiguration, brother. This is what I'm saying. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Like as we mentioned about that place called Adam's Calendar that
Mm,
was mashed up to do motorways in South Africa. You know what I mean? And this was like it was built in aligned with the star constellations. You know what I mean? And
yeah.
looks like a powerful, like could have been a high science center. You know what I mean? Because as I say, man, you know, the oral traditions, you're dealing with like a different mentality. And
Yeah.
to write things down and say John Tom wrote this and John Tom blah blah and that's a different mentality. You know what I'm saying, bro?
Yeah.
And when you're just observing nature and at one with nature, then you're just part of nature. So
Yeah.
you don't
It's
have to
embedded in you from like you haven't got to write it down. It's
exactly,
already from a child
exactly.
being born. It's just like an animal being born. It knows what it
Yes,
seems to do or in the beginning. It's not dumbed down. When we come to
absolutely,
the
brother.
school
Absolutely.
system, the education, Western education,
Like you
where
say, you've seen
keep
people
dumbing people down.
destroy walls with sound, and
Yeah.
sound is one of the greatest forces,
Yeah.
sound and like language, and language isn't just confined to verbal
Codes,
language. You've got
codes and
body
that one.
language. You can play
Yeah.
drums or dance. all that is a form of language. It's communication. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's really a deep topic, and that, and like when it comes to like oral history as well, is like, for example, all these people always talked about Kemet. For example, even the old tribe spoke about coming from Kemet. The Yoruba
Uh-huh.
spoke on it. The Dogon spoke about it. And then, like
Yeah.
we said before, it wasn't a fact of people just coming from Kemet. It was also people going to Kemet.
That's what I'm
So
saying,
a
bro.
back and forth type thing.
And I think if you look on it, right, like many West Africans, right, have the traditions, even though they've been colonialized and Christianized, right, they still have the traditions
Yeah.
of of the area we know as Egypt. Now, who's to say they weren't the original inhabitants, or who's to say they never moved backwards and forwards? Because there's always been great commerce, there's always been travel, great travel going on. You know what I mean?
Northern Nigeria got like the oldest canoe that they found, the Dafuna
Yeah.
canoe, 8,500 years old. And there's probably
Mm.
boats even more old in Africa, but you just got to find them and discover them, haven't you?
Yeah, man, most definitely. And they knew about the trade winds, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you knew about, like, you know what I mean? And modes of travel and sails and all them things were utilized most definitely, bro.
Or the
Yeah, man.
influences around the world, which connect to Africa as well, you know?
Absolutely. But if you can lie to a people you see, and
Mm,
not just black people, even though we as black people experienced the most and the most ever since, say, like 1492. All right.
yeah,
So what I'm saying is, right, if you look on it, right, if you're gonna lie to the people to take away the people's power, you're gonna miseducate the people to take away the people's power. That's why they say to us, we only use 5% of our brain, we only use 10% of our mind. I've heard that many times, and I said,
yeah,
no, the person who taught you that was using 100% of their mind, and that's how the game's rigged, right? Now, if you control people's mind, means you control their consciousness. You control to a degree on a subliminal programming and forcible programming their consciousness as well. You know what I mean? They
yeah.
become broken versions of who they're supposed to be. And that's what we've been through, right? You know what I mean? Like over the last 100 years, right? And things are no different. But even if you look on the species as a whole, human species, right? All of us are just dumbed down. It's getting even worse because they're using these
Yeah.
latest forms of technology to even dumb up the youth even more. Remember, where I'm a lot older than you, but there's younger youths coming up behind
That's
us,
it.
and like,
Yeah.
so they must get their brain down to convince them that they're only using 3% of the brain down in it,
Oh, it'll
because
dumb down even more, won't it?
dumb down even more. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
Now that's how
Af
they use the education
yeah.
system. You know
Africa
what I mean?
really
And
though as
they've
well.
weaponized.
Africa as well. Like, I mean, we have the diaspora, Africa, the diaspora, whether you're in America, wherever you are, we're always trying to, like, especially in the field of research, we're always trying to push the research and trying to figure things out. But at the same time, Africa, that's the people in Africa have to really take it very serious as well. And a lot of funding into a lot of these archaeology projects, and they have to, like, because when we're outside of Africa, I think like we try to appreciate some of the great things we did, especially if you come from the Caribbean or you're from the United States, and even from
Mm.
here, because of we being told, stripped of our languages, stripped of our cultures, stripped of many things, told Africa was backwards. We got the worst things. And even from when you were younger, I'm sure, like when you're watching the stuff that you were taught when you went to the school,
Yes,
or whether watching the TV, even showing you like
absolutely,
Tarzan,
bro.
showing you this one, that one, and so Africa has to get really appreciate its own history and spirituality, because you look at the percentage of people who are religious in Africa, particularly
Mm.
Abrahamic religions. There's a large number. We could be going to like 90% or more. You know what I'm saying? So
Mhm.
where's the room
Um,
for traditional, oral, like livable history? You get what I'm
yeah.
saying?
Well, this is what I will say, bro. I mean, like when you're dealing with colonialism, this is what I'm
Yeah,
saying. Like at the end of the day, when it comes to belief systems and that, we love people and allow them and let them deal with them things. You know what I mean? How I see certain things. Um, I've seen many examples, right? And I think the way colonialism works, first of all, they demean us, they take away our human rights, constant violations against the fathers, the son of the father, the son of the son, the son of the son, intergenerational curse right there, right?
yeah,
And they have to make us economically unstable, mentally unstable, you know what I mean? And get us to believe it's our own fault. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
therefore, you find that we are separated from our culture and our true history and our true self, our true conscious state. Because if we went back or forward in time, you know what I mean? Because it's all round, it's all curved, right? You know what I'm saying?
mm,
So we go back in time, right, to our ancient ancestors. You know what I mean? Can you imagine, like, in terms of who we are now, what we've been turned into by the impact of colonialism? Because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter if you're coming from the Africans taken to the Caribbean and then you find yourself in the wider West, or you're Africans that were colonialized in Africa, and you know what I mean, your grandparents or your great grandparents might have, you know what I mean, come out and in terms of
colonialism is,
appreciating
yeah,
in terms of appreciating yourself, bro, this is what the elites know. They can't have the masses doing. We can't appreciate ourselves. We're not supposed to love ourselves, right? We're supposed to just be in a comatose position, sleepwalking through
self-hate.
life
Yeah,
and serve the agenda of consume, right? And that's it, bro. You know what I mean? And like, that's why I respect what you're doing, because at the end of the day, you say, okay, let me just bring a few people on. Everybody's got their own little bag,
yeah.
different things. You know what I mean? Some may be more scholarly than others. Some may come with more quotes or whatever. Some might just have. It might just be a vibe where it's a free talk, just to like, you know what I mean? Try to expand the
But
way
this
we
is
look at
why
things and be
I do.
brave or prepared to look at things
But this is
differently.
why I welcome so many different types of people in those different areas, because it's not
Mhm.
worth just having one set of people because this person has a degree or this person is knowledge in this area. Bring it all on, because you never know what someone's got something to say. You know, even the
Mhm.
most like average person, or even the person who might even be not the most intelligent, you might still have
Yes,
something interesting to see because you might have some
absolutely.
great intuition. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely, bro.
And it is about that. Yeah. So, you know, another topic to deal with, anyway, we talk about consciousness, you know, and this expanded awareness. Then we can
Mhm.
talk about like the subconscious is which is more deeper. So it's one thing to dumb down people's consciousness, but it seems like they're trying to get further into things with all this new technology. They're trying to really get into the subconscious now. And if they can get into that, well, then it's real dangerous times that we're definitely in. You know what
It's
I'm saying?
you see what you're talking about. You're talking about consciousness being hacked,
Mm,
isn't it? When you
yeah,
think about it, like
yeah,
it's like by a malware. Is that what they call it? A
yeah.
virus.
That's right. Yeah.
A virus is misinformation. You know what I mean? Because like when you think about it, right? Consciousness is everything, isn't it? It's like
Mm,
the simple, more complex, the amazing, the mundane. It's really everything. No matter what we're doing in a day-to-day business, it could be doing work, it could be having fun, it could be just simply deciding what shoes you're going to wear for the day. It all relies on the state of your consciousness at that time. You know what I mean? And so, therefore, there's always going to be a way of like to for the elites, call them what you want. If people think it's a conspiracy, we've been the victim for 500 years, you know what I mean? We're walking
yeah.
around A lot of us are walking around with slave master names in the 21st century. So get real. You know what I mean? So it's a cons piracy, and that piracy has been going on, and it's time for people to understand, and what has happened to the kidnapping, the mass murder, the forced enslavement of people, and stopping them, cutting them off from the culture, the history, cutting the tongues out, a whole heap of madness, a whole heap of
Yeah.
unspeakable things. You know what I mean?
Well, the control you can have with people that with
Horrible.
self-hate, giving them doubt,
Absolutely.
anxiety,
Absolutely.
worry, all this fear. You
Imagine,
can't conquer your goals,
imagine,
and you can only conquer through having a master,
you know what I
basically.
mean?
That you have to have
And
this
and that's
master.
how it's funny,
Yeah.
and it's funny because a lot of religious orders deal with the same thing. You can't function with the Godhead within. You got to look to the Godhead without. Cecil B. D. Mill and
Mm.
trumpets blowing and all that. You know what I mean? So consciousness is a serious thing, and like we said before, you know what I mean. Um, our thoughts, how much of our thoughts are truly our own. There may be some people that are having more genuine thoughts coming from their own conscious state than others. You know what I mean? It all depends, isn't it? I mean, at the end of the day, it's like when the chicken farmer throws corn, most chickens are going to run to just eat up the corn, but the smart chickens will be careful of what they consume.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Hmm. There's a
Yeah.
saying. Never let the camel get his head into the tent because eventually they'll have the whole body in. You know what I'm
That's
saying?
right, brother. Absolutely.
And it's this. You know what? Even like the story of the devil, for example, like how there's a lot of things that relate to it, even though a lot of things are metaphors. And it's kind of like where if you feel that how am I going to succeed or how am I going to reach my goal or achieve something, then it's like the have to go this like I don't know how to put it this unnatural way, everything unnatural, unpure,
Yes.
unmoral. A lot of things just like to in order to achieve the goals. Now, if you look at social media to this day, a lot of social media is really nowadays you can use it for the good use, like most of us do, but then a lot of people just use it for the attention, use it for the wrong reasons, just how many likes you're gonna get, and it's everything nowadays is totally it's forced. Everything is like forced to be liked and forced to be
Forced agendas, forced
yeah,
agendas. You know what I mean? Hitler killed 6 million Jews, not
yeah,
6,000,001, and not 5,999,000.
yeah,
Anyone who doesn't say 6 million gets done. We're
yeah,
not counting anyone else. We don't give a fuck about anybody else.
yeah,
That's the reality. You know what I mean? And everything you're saying, I totally agree with because you're 100% correct. And there's many different altered states of consciousness, isn't there? We can
yeah,
alter our conscious state ourselves by meditating or doing any range of activities. Yeah, even
yeah,
even having sex, so copulation will put us in a different state of body, mind, and soul. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Some people will use um, drugs. I don't judge people who use drugs. Some people use drugs in a very medicinal manner they've diagnosed the issue correct and they use the correct dosage. And I'm not joking. Yeah.
hmm.
And there's many drugs that haven't come from the big pharmaceuticals, you know what I mean?
What do you think? What do you think
Even
of
Greek
what do you think of this?
pharmaca.
What do you think of ayahuasca when people talk about this ayahuasca? This from
I've
Brazil,
never
place
had it
like that.
myself. Listen, I've
I've
never
never,
had that.
yeah,
I've never had
myself,
that myself, right? So I
yeah,
couldn't really talk about it while not having it. But
yeah,
I'm the type of person, I'm not really into, seeking my mind to be altered in that way. It's
yeah,
okay
yeah,
for those that want to do it. This is what I'm saying.
yeah,
Like, even if it comes to street drugs, I don't want my brothers and sisters to get caught up in street drugs. I think
yeah,
that's an abomination.
yeah,
I don't think the people who are caught up in it are an abomination. I think the people who peddle it and for their puppet masters, I think they're the
Mm,
abomination. But at the end of the day, society will reap the benefits, isn't it?
that's
So,
it.
I think like, we've been hypnotized. If you look what we've been traumatized, we've been hypnotized, we've been turned inside out and upside down. We still walk around town with a slave master name. You know what I mean? We've got so many layers of trauma and plantation psychosis. It's a deep thing, and I think it's appropriate to talk about the mind because a lot of people aren't even in control of the mind, bro. It's not just people who are in institutions who medical staff have determined they're not in control of their faculties. We as African people, right, as the original people, like your podcast rightly states, right? Yeah, and we're all African anyway. You understand?
Yeah,
Yeah, because all our ancient ancestors are all African. Everyone. So I'm not taking back no talk. You know what I
yeah.
mean?
But yeah,
Um,
but like I say, attacking people's consciousness as well, and as we're going into the future, even like for example the COVID thing or whatever, then it was like getting everyone's got to get vaxxed, and then it wasn't even the fact of that; it was the fact of the turn average people against each other. You'd have people complaining to other people, wear your mask, you better get the jab because otherwise you're going to be spreading it. Then all of a sudden it stops, and then
picture this.
those
Picture
same
this.
people are not even
Boy.
talking about it no more.
Listen, picture this, rude boy, right? Like 15 years ago, if I went into the bank with a mask on, people would get
Yeah,
afraid.
yeah,
You understand? That would people
exactly.
think he's got a chopper. Him have a chopper. I'm going to get robbed here. Yeah,
Yeah,
and then all of a sudden it became a state of emergency if you didn't have a mask on. But this is how quickly they can control public opinion, and they control public opinion by the media, and even social media is the media. And I'm not saying the media is all bad or all good. You just have to be very selective in what you digest, and anything you
yeah,
digest, review it. That's all. I'm
that's
not
it.
saying I've got no enemies. I'm not looking for any enemy, and I'm not begging any friend. You know what I mean, bro?
Yeah,
Yeah.
the
And
bigger picture,
they've
man.
broken us down by attacking our consciousness, not just by like they've used trauma, you know what I mean, bro?
Yeah,
Even now in this day and age, right? And it's used on the wider masses too. Let's make no mistake. And right now, they're going to be using, like, yeah, and this ain't no joke, because everything that they show you in Hollywood is what they're working for. That's why they can never show you a utopia. They can never show you a society where there's just love and unity and goodness, you know what I mean, and high morality. They can't show you that because according to those people, that doesn't sell,
yeah,
right? And we use this as a weapon. So when you live in a world where the entertainment industry, whether it's music or movies or TV shows or endless streaming or whatever, and it's just an attack on the senses, an attack on the consciousness, and only the strongest of the strongest and the fittest of the fittest can survive. But God bless when the people who know that it's under attack, and then you guard your mind. Jim for short. Yeah, for Jim, guard your mind. And the best way to guard your mind is to constantly review, you know what I mean? Constantly meditate, you know what I mean?
yeah.
Constantly look at
Meditation,
yourself.
very, very important
Meditation
meditation. Yeah,
to get
being at
that
peace.
balance.
Yeah,
Yes. You know what I mean, bro?
that's it. So another
Yeah.
thing
So,
anyway, what I
yes,
want to
Ken.
speak on is an interesting podcast
The subconsciousness.
me and you
The
a while ago.
subconsciousness.
A while ago, me and you were on Chase's show, and there was interesting things what you
Oh,
mentioned
yes.
about the Sand
Yes.
people. They spoke of in the creation stories, like I don't know if you want to call them
Yes.
beings or greys living in the bowels of the earth and come out at night. And
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
do
Yeah.
see
Yeah.
these
Yeah.
kind of stories different places as well, which is
Yeah,
interesting.
man. Even the Dogons have them. Even like people in the Ga. A lot of these, listen, even like like you're talking about the mermen and mermaids. I'm
Yeah,
sure there's. Let me get. I saw there's some Africans, some Nigerians. Is it no?
yeah,
They call them the O'Shea people,
yeah, definitely. Nigeria definitely have them stories anyway, and there
right?
probably other parts of Africa too. Yeah,
Underwater, and then even when you go underwater, right, bro? I mean, there's caverns that exist, isn't it? Where there's air pockets.
mm,
You know what I mean? The Earth. What is the Earth like? We live on 30% of the Earth's surface, and the rest of it is water. Who knows how deep some of them waters go? And is the Earth completely solid? There's many things, bro, out there
mm,
that are not telling us. You know what I mean? They ain't
yeah.
telling us. You
Even
have to
like
learn to
in
tell yourself.
funny enough, you mentioned about them stories. I'm even there's even a story about a hobbit in that was like Indonesia. You know, they had stories of like someone coming out of a night and they'd like snatch whether it's babies or peoples, and
Yes.
it's Credo Mutwa. Funny enough, that brother, he passed away
Oh, yeah, on the southern
2020 or
South
so.
Africa.
He was deep into
Yeah.
all that, man. He
Well,
he
he was
said
a
some
shaman,
things.
Yeah,
Yeah, the
he was a
shamans.
shaman. And
Mm,
when you're a shaman, you're dealing with like you're going beyond the five sense reality trap. You realize there's 360 degrees in a circle and in the journey of the earth, even though they say 365 days, 366, it's 360 degrees in a circle, you know what I mean, bro?
yeah,
Right? And like as a shaman, right, a man of the spirit level, you've gone outside of the five sense reality trap. You've
yeah,
gone beyond the third dimension, and some of the things that these people, these great people, will speak of, right? It's not for everyone, my friend, because
yeah.
some people wouldn't be able to digest it. Wouldn't some people wouldn't be interested. Some
Well,
people would think it's madness.
well,
You know what
funny
I mean?
enough, say religious people.
I've
Yeah,
always gravitated
I
to
have
new
myself.
ways of
Yeah,
seeing things. You know what I
because
mean?
with religion, I've seen them put an attack on people like shamans, saying they're into sorcery, witchcraft, and
Mm.
basically they're going against God and this and that. So it's all nonsense. Even like they say about the pyramids, they had to be evil, the pharaohs, and because they had this type of knowledge, they were dealing with magic and this and that. Well, your true power is in your true self. If you can tap into a high potential, then that's what it's about. You know what I'm saying? It's not like some people look at it like if you use something evil, then it's wrong. But if you're using something to benefit, whether it's yourself or your community or getting to that next level of knowledge to share, I think when knowledge is kept secret, that's when it becomes more of a problem. When they like secret
I,
societies and
yeah, I think this is my take on it. I don't know. I mean, like even the secret societies that exist, they're stolen. Everything's stolen. The religion's
yeah,
stolen. The secret society's stolen.
yeah,
Everything's stolen. You know what I mean? And
yeah,
like those people who say, "Oh, witchcraft," and who say, "Oh, evil." I mean, it's just nonsense, bro. Because
yeah,
even the order of Jesus Christ, right? Um, the works that Jesus Christ did, these people have been hypnotized to say, okay, it's a miracle. But if you or I do it, is obia and voodoo, and we're in league with Lucifer. That type of thing is foolishness because
I'm happy you mentioned that though about
no,
that
it's
because
foolishness because
if he
even
walked
the
on
man said,
water, if he
yeah.
walked on water, I think that'd be like what you call voodoo, for example, or turn water to
You
wine
know what I mean?
and all
And
these
the
other
way we see
miracles.
it, and the way we see it in Africa, we say, yeah, man, the sun walked on the water many thousands of years ago because the sun walks on the water every day. When the
Yeah,
sun shines on the water, you know what I'm
mm,
saying, bro?
yeah.
Because all these things are metaphors, you know what I mean?
But this
The
is it,
metaphors,
metaphors. Yeah,
and
yeah,
even the water can be seen as the consciousness or even the subconsciousness, you know what I mean? Different
Yeah.
states can represent one state of consciousness, you know what I mean? The waters, the vast waters represent another, you know what I mean? At the end of the day, bro, right? It's like we've been hypnotized, we've been bamboozled, right? But now we're coming back for our identity now. Yeah. We want reparations. When we're talking about reparations, you know, we're not necessarily talking about the British government, right? Have to give us money and they have to do that because anybody who beg teeth, right? You can't beg teeth, yeah, because they come back and teeth you again. So
Yeah.
right now we can only repair ourselves, so we deliver our own reparations, you know what I mean?
Don't let
So
history repeat, man. That's it.
this is it, brother. And like at the end of the day, right? It's like I don't fight down anybody. I love everybody, brethren. I love everybody, but there's agendas taking place in the world, as you well know.
Yeah.
So certain agendas taking place where them have the right to say what they want to say, and when it comes to you or I saying certain things, especially in professional settings, we're not talking about Ladbrokes, betting shop. We're talking about you might be in a place of work out there where you have to be very careful in how you express yourself and how you conduct yourself. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Again, hypnosis, brother. I work in mental health, as you know, right? So when it comes, I have an interest in the mind, you know what I mean? And if one man or one woman has the ability to hear voices and see things that no one else can see, if they're in a position to control that, Bridget, they become shamans or oracles or prophets or prophetesses. Call it what you want. They become special people because they have extraordinary abilities. But those extraordinary abilities that they have, we have, but we've been miseducated. So we're like dormant volcanoes, brethren. Yeah. But only we can reactivate ourselves, you know. You know what I'm saying?
I think we're in the time now where our ancestors always spoke about cycles, talked about ages, events, and I think we're in the time now where as much as things look really bad on how the elite are running things and got us in a state of panic, fear, anxiety, but it's still a time now where when the bad goes in really bad, that's when you've got to let the good in. The good comes in when things get really bad. So, I mean, I'm looking at like an expanded
That's what Marcus
awareness
Garvey,
is
Marcus
going to come
Garvey said
out.
the same. Yeah, you never
Yeah,
know
definitely.
yourself until your back's up against the wall. You know what I mean? And
And
when times become too good or perceived times become too good for too long, the
yeah,
people stray and the people become decadent, dread, and full of debauchery. You know what I
too
mean?
comfortable.
And too comfortable, you know what I mean? So
Yeah,
sometimes we don't want the rough, hard stuff all the time, but there's cycles, like you say, there's
yeah.
cycles in nature, right, that
Mm,
we can see because every day we're a living embodiment of that. We were once born babies, you know what I mean, Bridget? We were
yeah.
in the womb, gestated in the womb, developed in the womb, yeah.
A
And so
balance, man. This is my
therefore,
art.
yeah. And this is a cycle that repeats itself. You
Yeah,
understand? So, like we were saying before, you know, like when it comes to time and space and prehistory, there's a lot in the so-called recent history that is lies and racist, offensive, and everything that backs up a white superior, a supreme, a white supremacy model that backs that up. And you have to have it based on lies, you know what I mean? And it's entwined in the language, it's entwined in the education. And, you know, it's everything, it's subliminal, it's superbliminal, it's in your face, it's subtle. You know what I mean? And that's why they say the subtle one is the worst. Sometimes, you know what I mean, brother? But
yeah,
so I deal with the mind, Jed, but I know that when I work with people, I ain't just dealing with the mind. I'm dealing with the heart, the mind, and the soul. You know what I mean? Cause you're dealing with the person on a holistic level. You know what I mean? And can you imagine if I'm trying to say to people, take your medication, I'm not against the medication. I believe there may be a cause for medication as interventions from time to time. But I know we're living in a society where certain people will be marginalized. Certain people will always be scored higher to be diagnosed quicker with schizophrenia. Certain people will be given maximum dosages of so-called psychotropic drugs and spend the rest of their life, what a very low quality. You know what I mean? And so
Mm,
therefore everything is weaponized, me brother. This is what I'm saying. Even down to like the mental health system that I'm working in is weaponized. You know, that's
yeah,
why it takes people like me to go in there and say, okay, I ain't a mug, but I'm working for people. Yeah. So if you don't want to push if you don't want to push the vehicle too far, that's cool for you. But I'm going to push it. Yeah. So I'm looking to help people on all sorts of level.
yeah,
I'm look. I know that if you want people to improve in the mental state, well, if they're broke, try and get them some money. Yeah.
that's right.
You know what I mean? You have to apply for some universal credit. Try and get them some pip. Yeah. Tell them for pack a suitcase. Tell them for pack a grip and go at Heathrow Airport, you know what I mean? Make an overseas trip,
And get them some
77, 77 Sunset Strip, you know
natural
what I mean?
healings out there as
And
well,
this is healing, brother.
natural
There's
healings
many
out there.
levels of healing, you know what I mean?
Even the sons are healing.
Yes, I'm
There's
telling you, bro. Yeah, and
there's
there's many the disease of the mind or the discomfort of the mind. You know what I mean? You know that if we was ever to go through a period in life where we become stressed, stress can kill. Stress ain't bad, like you say, you know. A
yeah,
little bit of stress is good, keep you on your toes, keep you moving to the
yeah.
goal. But you get too much stress, then things start cracking. You know what I mean?
That's
And
why
anxiety.
everyone needs a good vacation, go and
Yes,
travel, see different
yes.
places in the world,
Yeah, man.
come out
Yeah,
to
man.
your little comfort zone, and
Absolutely. The
learn from
anxiety
different
and
people.
stress
I'm saying
all
so
the
many people
time,
to
bro.
learn from. Yeah, man.
Every time. And so therefore, like everything becomes a weapon. Politics, as we know, is a weapon. And we know about, like, say, for example, certain people got together and said, okay, as far as I'm concerned, I don't give a shite, let's run this scam and then start talking about COVID-19. And some people have had COVID-19 19 times, brother. And these are the same people that have taken the vax. I don't know
Yeah,
whether they're telling the truth or they just want to take a couple of weeks off work because this is what they've created.
yeah,
People are working from home. You know what I mean? When I was a kid, the only people who worked from home was Roxanne. You don't have to put on the red light.
yeah.
I'm saying, bro.
Mm,
So they've changed the whole world, you see. So on this big thing of this COVID-19, they've crammed in 10 years of change according to the timeline of their agenda into 2 years, and people have just bent over.
yeah,
Yeah. Now, all the stoppages, the lockdowns, the work from home, that impacted on the economy. We don't need to go in, it's obvious. So
and
now they put
impact on people's mental health as well. Yeah,
absolutely, this is the greatest economy.
mm,
The greatest economy is your mental health, your
yeah.
consciousness, and guard your mind, Jim, guard your mind. You know what I'm saying, bro? Yeah.
Connect to the
So
highest spirit, man. You know what I'm
it's
saying?
listen, it's under attack on so many levels, and everything they do, they put it back onto the poor people to pay the price.
Yeah,
Yeah. So now they said, okay, economic downturn, which is obvious because they've created it. Yeah. And so therefore the price gets passed on to the poor. You know what I mean? Because I'm telling you now, bro, right around the world now, all economies are under attack at a rapid level. You know what I mean? It could even
yeah,
reach a stage. Seriously, it could even reach a stage where you know what I mean? You're going to be seeing starvation in the West, the way things are going, because everything's weaponized. So
yeah.
food becomes a weapon. You know what I mean?
Mm,
Listen, these people would let food go rancid and moldy. I'm talking like thousands of tons of food go rancid and moldy just to have a price fixed. That's how it works. But you
yeah,
see, all this economy thing is man-made anyway, because no matter how rich a guy is, Him can't make the sun go up and the sun come down. Him can't make the rain and can't make the sunshine. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
well, this is an interesting discussion anyway, Raz. Anyway, definitely appreciate, James
And
Diboe
I don't
discovering
know.
dedicated to
I
original
love it.
peoples.
I love it. I
That's
love it
powerful, bro.
because we are the original peoples. But these people are looking. The building right now. The building hybrid people, bro. Yeah,
Mm,
building hybrid people. Some of it could be down to all manner. It could be interdimensional links. It could be extraterrestrial links. What we call extraterrestrial, because right now I'm extraterrestrial. I'm extra all over all terrain. So me's an extraterrestrial. I don't play with words, bro. You know what I mean?
yeah,
But certain guys who are supposed to have money, I don't even know if they exist. I don't know. Obviously, they are the figurehead, like Mickey Mouse is the figurehead of Disney. Like
yeah,
just Mickey Mouse silhouette, you think Disney, and they've given us a few people to focus on or be distracted, and they're supposed to be billionaires. Well, you've got people who are trillionaires, bro, and quadrillionaires out there. You know what I
yeah.
mean? But we'll never
Ridiculous,
hear
isn't it?
about them. So you got these people now. It could be a name like Elon Musk. Could be these people are talking about. They're experimenting on chimps and all sorts of primates and animals, doing some terrible abominations to them.
Yeah,
Yeah, in order to link, because we're talking about consciousness. This is what these people are dealing with, the consciousness. They've tried to use technology as a weapon. Certainly the social media, the whole internet as a weapon, because most people use it for I would say for negative. It's their business, but negative means. You know what I mean? And utilize it in a negative manner. You know what I mean? I think very few use it in the positive manner. You know
yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah,
Um,
powerful discussion
it's a,
though it is, and we'll have to do like a part two or something, man. You know what I
but
mean?
just
Again,
before
because
last point,
you know what
Judd,
I'm saying.
all these guys like Elon Musk, they say he wants to control the consciousness by becoming almost cyber. What do you call it? Um, like a biotechnological robot or something. Like them
Yeah,
people in Star Trek, the new generation, the Borg, and they should
yeah,
say resistance is future. They're talking about making people into cyborgs, Bridget. And if you look at the way the phones are, the way people queue up for new trainers and the latest iPhone, and when the day comes and they say, you know what, we're not dealing with the phones no more, it's all hands free. Just take that chip in your head or your hand. You know what I
yeah.
mean?
Mark yourself, man. You know what I'm saying.
Yeah, that's it.
People got to be more aware. But as much as there's a lot of sleepy people, there is some people who's awake. You know what I'm saying,
Yeah,
and I believe that the cycle is going to come where mass numbers are going to wake up, and when that'll create an energy field. The more people, because we are all interconnected in some sort of way, whether it's people, the universe, to any living thing on this planet, so we all have that connection, but it's about the time is definitely due to come. And as
that's
much as
right.
it seems so bad, and like you say about the technology, they're using it negatively, but I do believe these are times also we're getting ready to reconquer and recapture
Well,
our true
I
consciousness.
agree. Listen, I don't know which way it's going to go. I'm a man of faith. I'm a man of hope, right? But I'm also a realist. I'm not sure what way it's going to go, right?
Yeah,
But we definitely are in, tremendous times. There's no two ways about it. And yeah, we're going to see a lot of changes. We're guaranteed to see a lot of changes. I do hope many more people wake up. You know what I mean? And like, no matter what, because I don't really go on social media that much these days or watch too much TV. I had Netflix, and every time I was watching a show, man, I kiss man, woman, I kiss woman. And, some of these are kid shows, and I love people. I've got nothing against nothing, but if I see a man kiss a man, I have the right to turn that off.
yeah.
Yeah,
Totally
to turn that off.
brainwashing you from
I
young,
don't need that.
you know.
I don't need that, And like since
Yeah,
I've come off, not that I was one to sit down and just stream and watch show after show. You know what I mean? I've always been too busy for that, man.
yeah, man. But yeah, Raz, man, I really appreciate this discussion today, though,
Me too,
and
brother.
connecting on to the original peoples and the original teachings, the original
Yes,
mindsets, everything
yes,
original in every aspect of original. And this is the natural way, the true way, the beginning, the essence. You know what I'm
yes.
saying? But we'll do a part two another time, my brother.
We'll do a part two for true, man.
So I'll
Listen,
give
man,
thanks, my brethren.
this is just the beginning, sneak preview, you know what I mean?
Definitely more to come
Many
anyway.
thanks, brother. Many thanks.
Peace, King, man.
Every
Bless.
time, brother. Health and
Dedicate
strength to
to
you
original
and the
peoples, man.
family, yeah?
Yeah, man.